Ambassador Glorbax, welcome to When Aliens Come to Tea. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here, despite the fact that you appear to be writing something down already. May I ask what you're documenting?
Ah, host Felix, most gracious salutations and temperature-appropriate greetings. I am merely noting Citation 18A, failure to specify exact parameters of absolute in pleasure measurement. On Flarbgarl Prime, we have 43 distinct gradations of pleasure, ranging from mildly convenient to transcendently euphoric. Which specific pleasure amplitude are you experiencing?
Let's go with genuinely delighted with a hint of bemused anticipation.
Excellent! That correlates to a Flarbagarglian 6.7 on the gladness scale. Most satisfactory.
Right. Well, before we begin properly, I've received your 47-page tea service protocol manual. Fascinating read, particularly subsection Delta 9 about optimal spoon angles. But first, what exactly would you like to drink? And please, in less than 73 words if possible.
The beverage selection conundrum. Well, under certain specific atmospheric pressures, and considering the current migratory patterns of the lesser spotted Flarbagarlian space slugs, one might hypothetically entertain the possibility of a heated leaf-based infusion, provided said infusion adheres to Galactic Safety Standard 7 Gamma Bleep, with particular attention to subsection J regarding non-hostile liquid temperatures. Though, of course, this assumes your local gravity constant remains within acceptable parameters for proper fluid dynamics, and
So that's tea?
The ambassador would like Earl Grey. Probably.
Earl Grey? Is this Earl a person? Should I be concerned about consuming liquids named after nobility? On Flarbgarl, drinking anything named after someone of rank requires a minimum 3-day licensing process.
No, Earl Grey is just... You know what? Let's start simple. Steep 1 Earl Grey for our guest. Standard Earth protocol.
Acknowledged. Deploying non-hostile liquid at regulation temperature.
Now, while that's steeping, I notice you've brought what appears to be a small tower of documents, and is that a ceremonial gavel?
Indeed, one must always be prepared to establish proper procedural order. The documents are merely my standard social interaction forms. Would you prefer to begin with Form 73B, Declaration of Non-Hostile Linguistic Intent, or Form 45K, Mutual Agreement to Acknowledge the Theoretical Existence of Humor?
How about we skip the forms and...
Skip the forms? But how will we establish baseline parameters for acceptable conversation topics? What if I accidentally compliment your socks in a culturally insensitive manner?
I'm not wearing particularly controversial socks today, I promise.
That's exactly what someone with controversial socks would say.
Your tea, Ambassador! Now, I believe you have a pre-consumption ritual.
Ah, yes, the pre-consumption gratitude protocol. Observe. First, we acknowledge the tea's noble sacrifice. Next, we perform the visual inspection for structural integrity. No cracks detected. Excellent. Now, the formal bow of appreciation.
That's actually quite lovely. How long does this usually take?
Approximately 45 seconds per cup, though biscuits require an additional 30 seconds for the crumb containment assessment.
Of course they do. Tell me, what happens if you're really hungry? Is there an emergency snacking protocol?
Emergency snacking? Host Felix, consumption without proper gratitude protocols can lead to digestive guilt. My third stomach once staged a protest after I rushed through a sandwich appreciation ceremony. It was most inconvenient.
The ambassador's third eye appears to have developed a fascination with the overhead lighting fixture.
Ah yes, I noticed that. Is that normal behavior for your decorative eye?
Oh, most apologies. Reginald tends to develop enthusiasms. Last week, he spent 3 hours studying a particularly interesting doorknob. He's purely ornamental, you understand, but seems to have developed what you humans might call opinions.
Your decorative eye has a name and hobbies.
Doesn't yours?
What? No, my eyes are just eyes.
How limiting that must be for them.
Right, well, speaking of interesting perspectives, your official title is Lead Investigator of Missing Common Sense, Intergalactic Division. In simple Earth terms, what exactly does that job entail?
My vocational calling. I investigate, document, analyze, and catalog instances across the cosmos where common sense has clearly departed for vacation without filing the proper leave request forms. My duties include mapping common sense deficit zones, interviewing witnesses to logical behavior, filing detailed reports in triplicate,
Triplicate?
quadruplicate on Tuesdays. One must maintain standards. I also compile statistical analyses of illogical decision patterns, mediate disputes arising from sense-deficient choices, and maintain the universal database of baffling behaviors.
So essentially, you're a cosmic detective who investigates why people do, obviously, silly things, then writes very serious reports about it?
Precisely, though I prefer the term documentarian of dubious decision-making.
And Earth is your favorite case?
Oh, host Felix! Earth is a wonderland of investigative opportunities. Your species' relationship with common sense is fascinatingly intermittent. Just this morning, I observed a human repeatedly pushing a door clearly marked pull for 47 seconds before achieving success. I've already filed 18 citations since arriving at your studio alone.
18, we've been talking for 5 minutes.
19 now. You just used a mathematical exaggeration without providing a disclaimer about temporal accuracy.
The ambassador has also submitted a formal complaint about the studio's aggressive dedication to perpendicular angles and suspicious abundance of right-angled corners.
Moving on. Your bio mentions something called the Great Accidental Compliment Fiasco of Galactic Cycle 734. I have to know, how does one accidentally compliment someone into nearly starting an interstellar war?
The incident. It haunts my regulatory nightmares still. I was attending a diplomatic gathering on Gromflark Prime. The warlord Kathanga, the perpetually furious, had just concluded a particularly violent campaign against the Znorblings of Sector 9. Being polite, I observed that his battle scars were surprisingly symmetrical.
That seems harmless enough and...
On Gromflark, symmetrical scarring implies one's enemies were so unimpressive that they could only manage predictable, evenly distributed wounds. It suggests a warrior so incompetent that even their injuries lack creativity.
Oh no.
The warlord's rage... Tentacles began vibrating at frequencies that shattered nearby glassware. His battle cry loosened 3 of my teeth. He declared a blood feud against my entire planet for our insulting appreciation of mediocre combat damage.
How did you possibly resolve that?
3 planetary rotations of competitive apologizing. Are you familiar with competitive apologizing?
I'm going to regret asking, but sorry, playoffs? Regret championships?
Precisely. Each participant must craft increasingly elaborate and self-deprecating apologies. Points are awarded for creativity, sincerity, and the ability to make oneself sound truly pathetic. I won the finals with a 37-verse apologetic opera accompanied by interpretive dance depicting my ancestral failures.
There's a trophy?
The Goblet of Infinite Regret! It's displayed prominently in my office. It whispers disappointments.
It whispers. Never mind, and this worked?
Eventually, though I also had to provide a gift basket of self-deprecating Flarb-Garglian poetry and officially declare my planet's entire military history adorably quaint.
This job of yours must give you quite a unique perspective on Earth customs. Any particular human behavior that made you think, ah yes, this is why I have job security for the next several millennia?
Oh, where do I begin? Your species voluntarily congregates in metal tubes that hurtle through the sky. You consume beverages that actively damage your digestive systems and call it fun. You have an entire industry dedicated to pretending to be other people while other people watch.
You mean acting?
Yes, professional deception for entertainment. And don't get me started on your concept of fashion, where you periodically declare previously acceptable garments suddenly unacceptable based on arbitrary seasonal determinations.
The ambassador's third eye has now fixated on Felix's left ear.
Reginald's found a new interest in.
He's fascinated by the asymmetrical curvature. He's composing a haiku.
My ear is inspiring poetry from your decorative eye. This might be the strangest compliment I've received this week.
Only this week? Your common sense deficiency is worse than I thought.
You're not seriously filing a citation for that?
Citation 20C. Insufficient concern regarding cranial appendage poetry. Very serious matter on Flarbgarl.
Right. Listeners, quick task. If you had to file a common sense deficiency citation against yourself, what would it be for? Would it be repeated attempts to push door-marked pull, or continuing to trust the printer despite years of betrayal? Our guest here is taking notes for his database.
The ambassador has created a new file labeled Earth Listener Self-Incrimination Evidence. He appears delighted.
Yes, please, humans, document your own senselessness. It saves me considerable paperwork.
Oh, for the love of Earl Grey, you're actually creating a crowdsourced database of human illogic.
Of course, efficiency in documentation is paramount, though I must file a citation against your beverage-based oath. Earl Grey cannot experience love, being a non-sentient liquid mixture.
It's just an expression.
Expression of what? Are you attempting to attribute emotional capacity to dried leaves? This requires immediate investigation.
I think we better move on before you run out of citation forms.
Impossible! I brought 600 standardized forms, plus emergency backup forms, plus backup forms for the backup forms.
Naturally. Well, shall we dive deeper into your work and perhaps explore what common sense actually means across different cultures?
Proceed, but know that I am prepared to document any and all logical deficiencies in this conversation.
I wouldn't expect anything less, Ambassador. After the break, we'll explore what happens when glib-glob politeness meets Earth's chaos and why Ambassador Glorbax believes sarcasm might be our most dangerous linguistic weapon. Spoiler alert, it involves a lot more citations.